Now, a new policy memo from an American industry retail group argues that herb should be regulated just like booze, and that liquor stores should be the only places allowed to sell the good herb. Now, we've got a few examples of this to discuss right here in America, but let's start off in Canada because they floated this idea almost 10 years ago.
As the federal government moves to legalize, two major BC liquor stakeholders are pushing to see recreational sold in existing government and private liquor stores. The BC Government Employees Union and the BC Private Liquor Store Association are proposing this idea, and they're aiming to see it happen by next December, that assuming Ottawa succeeds with its legalization plan. They say their stores are best positioned to do this.
What we offer is experience, and we believe that non-medical should be sold in the most socially responsible manner in an age-controlled environment with the strongest track record of checking identification, and that's what we bring in the liquor industry.
They say the tax revenue from pot could fund a number of programs, including addiction treatment and general health funding, and they emphasize this is only for recreational.
So that was over in Canada and almost a decade ago, but let's bring it right back home because according to this article, which was published only a few days ago, alcohol retailers say only they should be able to legally sell herb products. Now, this is according to a new policy memo from an American alcohol retail industry group, and they argue, and I quote, states should restrict the sale of intoxicating THC products to businesses licensed to sell beverage alcohol and that are regularly inspected for compliance with laws aimed at preventing sales to individuals under 21. And I mean, I can understand that because a lot of people have concerns with stores that are selling to underage kids. But the article goes on to say, and I quote, the group contends that alcohol retailers with many decades of proven compliance are best positioned to sell these products. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about that. Grabbing my herb from a liquor store, usually I'm not sure that people would like that, but then some people may be open to the idea. I know a lot of herbalists that are really ital and vital and they do not like alcohol, so having to go to an alcohol store to get their herb may not be the best fit for them. Now personally, I think the existing setup of medical or recreational dispensaries is a lot better because at the end of the day, you're heading out to get your medicine. Now I want to show you guys a liquor store that got a license to sell herb and they had to make a bunch of changes. But before we do that, let's have a look. This is what they call the joint venture, where a Massachusetts liquor store actually wanted to sell herb.
A number of Massachusetts liquor stores want a piece of the pot pie. Once retail sales begins, some liquor store owners have expressed interest in a one-stop shop business model, offering both alcohol and legalized. The Massachusetts Package Store Association voted unanimously in support of the joint venture, giving liquor store owners permission to apply for dispensary licenses. According to the Boston Herald, the association plans to remain neutral on the issue. A new Control Commission will determine regulations for shop licensing. The commission shall issue licenses first to applicants with the most experience operating medical treatment centers, and then by lottery among qualified applicants. 53% of voters approved a ballot initiative last year to legalize in Massachusetts. Adults 21 and over will be allowed to possess and use limited amounts of and grow as many as a dozen marijuana plants in their homes. If liquor stores are granted permission to sell, they could be setting a new precedent across the country. Other states with legalized recreational sales, including Alaska, California, and Oregon, prohibit those sales in liquor stores.
So Massachusetts wants a piece of the pot pie with this joint venture. You guys, I just can't get over the puns, but they're really, really bad. Now, like I said, I want to show you guys a liquor store that actually converted to be able to sell some of these herbal products. So let's have a look at that before we hop back into Colorado and see what's going on over there.
The intention on the entryway is one way in, one way out, but done in a way that's, we call it privacy without barriers. So by federal law, people cannot see in here who are not 19 years of age or over. So we frosted the glass on the way in to allow enough natural light to get in here, but at the same time provide that privacy that we're required to deliver based on federal law. Well, having beverage alcohol and sold within the same box is very new. It hasn't been done to my knowledge anywhere else in the world. And so it's going to make it a very different in retail environment than you'll experience in any other jurisdiction, certainly in Canada, that I'm aware of. And it does bring different challenges, as we've already talked to, but it's also very exciting because it allows us to integrate our workforces and save a fair amount on labor and use the same great expertise that we have as the NSLC. But the bigger challenge is really running the customer transactions through both locations. Our beverage stores are very busy stores already, and adding to it additional transactions for the side is definitely going to be challenging for us. And we're up for that challenge, but it's going to be some learning. Do people shop the same way? Do they come at the same time of day? How do they interact with our staff? It's going to be a very different experience. The average beverage alcohol transaction is 3 minutes. We expect the average transaction in here to be between 15 and 20. And hopefully we can get that down to about 10 minutes. But it's going to be a lot longer, which means it's going to be a much more challenging environment to move people through.
Now that's pretty interesting and a few things that you guys may not have thought of. But if you guys are getting value from this video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or cop some merch from our merch store. But there are a few things in that clip which are pretty interesting. And a lot of people go into medical or rec dispose, and when they go in there, they're like, okay, I'm gonna have a look around, make a decision on what I want to get. And usually the average time would be a little bit longer. I remember recently I went out to a dispo that I've never been in before with my homie Dusa, and I think we literally spent about 20 minutes in there before we made a decision as to what we want to get. Whereas if you go into a liquor store, it's probably a lot shorter of a time that you make making a decision about what you want to drink that night. Now, despite the fact that you may take longer to figure out what strain you want that night versus what type of beer you want to drink that night, a lot of people are actually drinking a lot less. And according to this article, the good herb is in and alcohol is out. And a lot of people are asking the question, is it actually Gen Z that's driving this big change? Because a lot of Gen Zers and myself as a millennial prefer herb to alcohol.
With recreational now legal in 24 states, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration is moving to reclassify the drug to a less dangerous category under the Controlled Substances Act. And for the first time, a new survey shows that daily users now outnumber daily drinkers. In tonight's Eye on America, Nikki Batiste reports that it's a development driven by Gen Z.
Behind this cloud of smoke is a new kind of office for Gen Zers.
Here, we smoke because it enhances our work. That's our secret sauce.
Work and Roll is a shared workspace in New York City where, for as little as $15, you can toke while you type. This downtown loft space is capitalizing on a trend among today's young workers. Forget after-work happy hour at a favorite watering hole. Weed is the new way to go.
I think this is like the mecca of the cannabis industry.
Matthew Everett, Golda Moldovsky, and Ellis Sudak, all in their mid-20s, are like the 69% of people their age who say they prefer to alcohol, according to a research firm.
I transitioned over into cannabis because I saw that there's limitless possibilities with the flavors, and I found, like, hey, I don't have a hangover the next day, too.
Were any of you big alcohol drinkers?
I was, yeah.
So there you guys can see it's a massive change, but it's not just people who are token, but also people who have edibles, vapes, and dabs. You guys can definitely see a lot of people across the world hitting more dabs than they were 10 years ago. Now I want to show you guys an example where the script has been flipped and dispos are actually selling beer, but there's a catch. But before we get into that, let's have a look at Aspen, where they say they're actually selling more herb than liquor. Check it out.
For the first time, Aspen dispensaries are bringing in more money than the city's liquor stores. The Aspen Times found the latest number in the city's 2017 year-end sales tax report. Legal pot shops brought in $11.3 million, while liquor stores brought in $10.5 million. Revenue in Aspen was up 16% from 2016. That was the highest rate of growth of Aspen's 12 retail sectors.
So it's clear to see that some of these alcohol sales are going up in smoke, sorry for the bad pun, but it does turn out that as more states legalize, alcohol sales actually go down. Have a look at this.
Is killing beer sales buzz? According to Cohen & Company, researchers found that in states where marijuana is legal, beer sales are drying up. In Colorado, Oregon, and Washington, where recreational has been legalized, the beer markets have collectively underperformed in the last 2 years. Domestic brewers Anheuser-Busch InBev and Miller Coors have seen the largest drops. Sales of Coors Light and Bud Light dipped by 4.4% in Colorado and Washington. Budweiser and Coors dipped by 2.4%. Denver is the epicenter for the trading beer for weed trend, where beer volumes dropped by 6.4%. Consumers also appear to be coming down from their craft beer high. While larger crafts are keeping pace, smaller breweries are not performing as well. This as individual Americans' yearly spending on is outpacing alcohol. MarketWatch found that the typical male customer, who represents 70% of dispensary loyalty club memberships, spends about $647 annually, while female consumers spend about $634 each year. That's compared to an average of $645 a year on alcohol by adults, according to a survey from Headset. The growing trend of choosing over alcohol is expected to continue to rise as more states jump on the cannabis money train.
So as you guys can see, sales of herb are outpacing sales of alcohol, and a lot more people are actually using the herb on a daily basis compared to alcohol. And that's probably why this dispo over in Colorado is actually selling beer, but it's not alcoholic beer. Check it out.
Dispensaries around the state are going to soon start selling beer.
It's a new recipe from the creator of Blue Moon. Hopes it's going to be just as successful. First of its kind, has a combo with THC with alcohol-free beer. Jamie Leary live in Arvada, and Jamie, this is about ready to hit the shelves.
It really is, and this is the top secret location where Saria Brewing created this beer recipe, but the beer, that's only half of it, and today we were able to visit the spot where they infuse it with THC and are currently prepping it for shelves.
Cannabis pro omnibus, cannabis for the people.
Keith Villa could be retired by now.
Instead of becoming a people doctor, I became a beer doctor, went to Belgium, got my doctorate.
A good thing because he created Blue Moon. Everything from the brand to the recipe. But Keith didn't want to stop there.
This is the Napa Valley of craft beer, so what better place to have a beer made with cannabis?
He created Saria and then partnered with Keith, a company that specializes in THC-infused drinks. This is where the infusion happens. The pairing with beer is a first of its kind.
Never thought it was going to happen this quick or within my lifetime of being a professional in this, so I'm just super excited to be a part of it.
So what about the actual taste?
You actually thought you were drinking beer.
Beer without the alcohol and around 64 calories. The total amount of THC, 5 milligrams.
My tolerance is kind of a little bit higher, I guess, but I would probably have to drink 3 or 4 to actually feel something.
If you're skeptical about trying THC, Keith believes this is a good introduction.
It's low dosed, micro dosed, so you can have 1 or 2 and not get stoned.
He hopes it becomes more of a social norm, just like any six-pack. And of course, Keith isn't stopping here. He has more plans for beer and THC.
I like to get out in the beer world and change the course of beer history.
The Belgian-style brew is expected to hit the shelves before the new year. Keith also plans to release a 2.5 milligram lager as well as a 10 milligram IPA.
So as you guys can see, Big Pharma is trying to get in, but also Big Bear is trying to get in. And I'm not talking about Big Bear, Brother Bear. I'm talking about Big Alcohol Bear, IPAs and craft brews. They're trying to get in as well. And what they're doing is actually trying to promote some alcohol-free products that are actually THC infused. So it's pretty interesting. Now, they're not the only one trying to get in on this model, as also states like New Hampshire are trying to use this model when it comes to legalization. Have a look.
New Hampshire is moving a step closer to legalizing. State lawmakers agreed to study a new plan for selling recreational, kind of the way they sell alcohol in state liquor stores. For more on this, let's bring in the man who proposed it, the Republican governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, who joins us on the phone tonight. Governor, good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me on.
What's the advantage to selling like you sell liquor in New Hampshire at these state facilities?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that in play here. First, this is not. I've never been a big believer in terms of legalizing recreational, but the legislature is there. We're surrounded by I think 1,000 miles by states who have done it. Not only would the bill pass to let it happen, it would probably pass with the ability to override my veto. So even though I might not like it, my responsibility is to set up a model that long-term is better than all the other states around us, that has the protections. And to your question, we have this liquor store model here where we control the retail, we control the locations, we control the marketing, we control the branding. And when you're talking about money, you want to keep it away from kids. You want to make it accessible for adults, but you want to make sure it's not near schools. You want to make sure you don't have these miles, right, where you have like a pot shop on every corner like you see in some of these states. With us controlling the retail and the marketing and the branding side, we would be able to control all that, and we do it really well. Our New Hampshire liquor stores are ranked one of the top 5 retailers in the country.
So you guys saw that right there for yourselves. There are only 4 states that are still against the herb, but also under this model, the state will control. But also under this model, the state will control the retail, the marketing, and the branding for everything. And you guys may already be able to see some problems when it comes to that.
So we have a model that works. Other states don't really have that. And so we can build off of that to provide the protections that we want in something that that really needs protections, right? You're still dealing with a regulated drug and all of that. But knowing it's going to happen, we just got to design the best system for the long term.
So today's topic has been really interesting, and personally I know where I stand when it comes to my preference as it pertains to alcohol versus the good herb. I'm going with the good herb every single time and twice on Sundays. But drop it in the comments down below and let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. Would you guys be okay with grabbing your herb from a liquor store or not really? Drop it and let me know. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's also a model being proposed right now, right here in America, which will give the government full control of the good plant. So have a look at that video because it's coming up right now.